and let's talk about it. I'm going to show you the components of the first certificate, okay? First, we need to understand how it works. It's 40 minutes long, and it contains 4 different sections. It's right here. Part 1 represents 8 different recordings, and each recording has 1 question. So it's 1 recording, 1 question. Recording number 2, question number 2. Recording number 3, question number 3. Okay?
Okay.
After that, we have part 2, listen and complete gap sentences. A gap sentence is a sentence that has some missing information, and you need to complete this information with something that you hear, the information that the person is going to say. Part 2 is very difficult. That's the most difficult of the time. Part 1, 3, and 4 is a little bit easy, but the part 2 is the one that we need to pay more attention to. Part 3, multiple matching, is going to be about 5 different speakers that you are going to listen, and then we are going to match some information to these people. And finally, a longer recording with 7 multiple choice questions. We need to pay attention to the whole recording, try to take notes as much as possible, try to remember as much as possible so we can complete the 7 multiple choice questions. Okay? The positive part about the listening test is that you can listen to the audios twice. So the exam repeats the audio for you, and you can use that as an advantage. You can use that as something positive for you. The first play is for you to get familiar with the exercise, and the second play is the part where you are going to attack, the part where you are going to answer everything. Okay?
Okay.
That's it. So we're gonna start checking part 1, how part 1 works, and how it is. Okay? So it is here that you'll hear people talking in 8 different situations. Okay? For questions 1 to 8, choose the best answer. Okay? The video will show you only one question, and then we go to the next. Okay? Attention to the audio.
Yes.
I could have taken the train, but that would have taken the best part of a day to get there, and it wasn't even the cheapest option. The cheapest way was to go on one of those budget airlines, but the flights only go from one airport in the country, and I meant travelling cross-country first, so it wasn't very convenient. The other option was to fly from the capital, but that was far too expensive for me, although I wish I could have flown because it would have been much quicker.
After you hear him, it says, you hear someone talking about traveling abroad. Which option did he choose? Option A, the most convenient option. Option B, the quickest option. Option C, the cheapest option. I personally suggest to listen to the person first before you read the question. Okay? Because that can provide you a little bit of a context. The first repetition is going to give you context, and the second repetition is going to give you the answer. So, tip number 1. What we're going to do is try listening, reading, listening method. First, hear completely what's on the audio, then read the question and use, this is the most important part, use the second play to answer. Not the first one, the second one. So you don't get stressed about the speed and everything, you know? The first time is always going to be a problem. The second time is the best way to answer. So now that you are familiar with the question, let's answer. Attention.
I could have taken the train, but that would have taken the best part of a day to get there, and it wasn't even the cheapest option. The cheapest way was to go on one of those budget airlines, but the flights only go from one airport in the country, so that meant travelling cross-country first, so it wasn't very convenient. The other option was to fly from the capital, but that was far too expensive for me, although I wish I could have flown because it would have been much quicker.
Tell me, Rafa, which option did he choose?
Yes, I know the answer is the most convenient option.
The most convenient option. Are you sure?
Yes, I think so, because in the last one, cheapest is it's about a very long travel, and the quickest
A very long trip.
very long trip, and the quickest it's about very expensive
Exactly.
trip. Yeah,
So you're gonna use the first one.
yeah, it's incorrect.
It's incorrect. There was something important at the end because he said it could have been faster, something like that. He said the first one, I forgot to tell the information, but he preferred a different thing because the most convenient was a little bit more expensive. Okay, so I think it's the cheapest. Let's listen again.
I could have taken the train, but that would have taken the best part of a day to get there, and it wasn't even the cheapest option. The cheapest way was to go on one of those budget airlines, but the flights only go from one airport in the country, so that meant travelling cross-country first, so it wasn't very convenient. The other option was to fly from the capital, but that was far too expensive for me, although I wish I could have flown because it would have been much quicker.
Although, the last although is the most important. I could have used something because that would have been quicker. You know? There are some expressions here that we need to read carefully. The other option was to fly from the capital, but that was far too expensive for me, so he didn't choose this. Although, I wish I could have flown because it would have been much quicker. You know? So here, you are saying, did he take the airplane, yes or no? Did he take the airplane, yes or no?
No,
No.
No. Good. How do you know that, Rafa?
he was Isaac.
Oh, really?
Yes,
I didn't know
Yes.
Isaac was here. Hello, brother.
And Isaac was waiting for Rafa to.
to answer.
To answer.
Because it's something that that didn't happen, but he would like to how to say it? He would like to
Take the option.
he would like to
Would
I
like his
don't know.
future, eh?
Yes, he had no, I don't
How
know.
do you use would to talk about past when you regret something.
Um, uh,
We saw it.
he have would no
Switch.
he would have
Mhm.
he would have taken the airplane, but he didn't.
Excellent. He would
Yes,
have taken. This
yes.
particular audio has the one of the last objectives that we saw together, which was perfect modals, somewhere over here. Past modals, here it is. Could have, might have, may have, can have, must have, should have, and would have. All the audio has these structures, right? And the person is pronouncing as a normal speaker contractions. The person doesn't say could have, they say could have. They never say must have. No, they never say would have. They say would have. You know what I mean? So that's precisely what is going on in the audio. Right? I wish it could have flown, but it would have been much quicker because it would have been so much quicker. So then, which one did he take? Which option did he choose?
I think this is the last one, no? The cheapest option.
The cheapest option. That's the one. How do we know this?
Because he mentioned something about
It would be
the quicker, but I think he mentioned that it could be more expensive, no?
Again,
Something
I
like that.
mentioned, you mentioned, and he see it.
Mentions with
Excellent.
that. Yes, that the quicker is more expensive or something like that, no? I don't remember. The other option was no, it was not. What was the other option? The cheapest, the quicker, and
The
the
cheapest, the
the
quickest, and the
most
most convenient.
convenient. Convenient. Okay. I don't remember. I think that he mentions that the most convenient option could take more time. No, no, I don't remember. Actually, no.
Okay, the answer is the cheapest.
Yes,
And it says
I could
the,
have.
the cheapest way was to go on one of those budget airlines. But the flights only go from one airport in the country. So that meant traveling cross country first. So it wasn't very convenient.
Okay, but I think that with that sentence, it is trying to say that he didn't take the cheapest option, no?
Close, almost. There is something important here that when you are talking in past,
Mhm.
when your verbs are in past, then you are saying that you actually did it because it's too evident to say I prefer or I rather, you know. And this is a type of trick that the exam has,
Okay.
you
The
know.
cheapest way was to go for, oh yes, it's trying to say something that he already did, no? Okay,
Also,
yes, I
the
get it.
verb meant.
Yes.
The verb meant is the part where you say okay, so he really did it. Mhm. That's one of the tricks that happen in this part of the exam. It's kind of tricky, you know. How do you know it's not the only two? Check this out. If you say that would have taken the best part of the day, the rest of the options, option one and option two, have perfect modals.
Something that could happen, but Yeah.
Could have happened.
Could
Watch
have
out.
happened,
Your
yes.
sentence is incomplete. Something that could have happened or would have happened, but it didn't happen. So
Okay.
when your verb has a simple past, then this is the truth one. This is the one that happened. If you observe option two doesn't have any would have, could have,
Yes.
in contrast to the other two.
Okay, yes.
That's very, very advanced when we are talking about comprehension, because we need to remember the functionality of the structure. What's the meaning of the structure? Sometimes it's not very evident if you are thinking in Spanish, because all the verbs look in past. So it's like, well, there's which one is correct, you know? So truly, 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 truly thinking in English, it's about understanding the structures. Here I have a would have, which means didn't happen. Here I have
Yes.
a could have, which means didn't happen. But
Teacher,
here we have a
yes.
was. Yes, tell me.
Like, could you repeat the audio to pay attention to that part?
Sure. Let's play it with the. Let's play with the. I go slow here. 1, 2, 3. Attention.
I could have taken the train, but that would have taken the best part of a day to get there, and it wasn't even the cheapest option. The cheapest way was to go on one of those budget airlines, but the flights only go from one airport in the country, so that meant travelling cross-country first, so it wasn't very convenient. The other option was to fly from the capital, but that was far too expensive for me, although I wish I could have flown because it would have been much quicker.
There's no evident sign of where the answer is. The only evident sign that you need to pay attention to is the structures that the person is using. That's why I insist on your comprehension of word by word, because word by word changes the way you perceive information. So do you understand how to detect how we detected this answer in this case?
Yes, teacher.
Right? Do you understand the difference between would have and was?
Yes,
Right? Who can explain it?
Silvana.
Silvana. Pushing.
The other two are talking about imaginary situations, things that he would like to do,
Would like
but
is the future.
he would have done.
They
No,
would
he
have
would.
done. Excellent. And
Yeah.
this is past.
But the other one is just in past, something like that he did.
Exactly. Something that he did. That's why it's so intense to use the auxiliary did. When you say did, it's because it happened. And
Yeah.
when you say would have, it's because it didn't happen. Okay. Technically, what we have here is did versus would have done.
Yeah, it's like a fact against an imaginary situation.
Correct. Exactly. Imaginary situation in the past, remember, because an imaginary situation exists in the future too. So be careful. Don't confuse again. Let's say did versus would have
Yeah.
done versus would done.
I remember this lesson.
Do you remember this lesson, right?
Yeah.
If you eliminate the have, no, would do. Then this means
Is it future?
mhm,
Okay.
in future or a possible present. An imaginary present. Because if you say I would like, it's not the same as saying I would have liked to do something. The
Yeah.
whole context is very different.
Could somebody take a screenshot of this?
Sure,
Yeah, I can
sure. I send it to
Thanks.
the group.
just let me a moment. Give me a moment.
Let me give you a title. The power of
Ready.
conjugation. Technically, this is when you conjugate the verb, you give context to the whole conversation. Okay? So that's the one. In this case, actually, I want you to say hello to a new partner that you have, guys. We have Sapti here with us. Hello, Sapti. And
Hello.
he,
Hello, Sabdi.
Hello.
and the reason she wanted to come is precisely because she has a very important interest on correct conjugation. So today we
Okay.
exactly got the right topic. You know, when we are thinking in Spanish, and this is something that we have spoken before, we think in Spanish and we want to look for the translation, no? How you
Yeah,
say,
I feel you.
right? If you say, how do you say hacer in English? Okay, I have do and make. Perfect. So I make homework. No, oh no, wait. It's I do. Okay, I do homework. Perfect. Now, are you speaking in past, in present, or in future, or a regret, or what is your intention? Normally, we forget to go to the intention part. So we forget to conjugate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So take this as a memo. Conjugation gives context. It's like a consequence of good conjugation. Okay.
Okay.
All this information is in the structures handbook.
Structures.
Open it, keep searching it, keep reading it, understand it very well, because here you have all the possible intentions that you can speak about. Okay. That's the one. I will pass it to you pretty soon, Saturday, okay? So you can study it too. Questions?
Not teacher.
All right. So this is the question number 1 is going to be the demo, right? Question 2 to 8, I'm going to give you 15 seconds to answer the questions, and at the end, we're going to check them together. Okay, so take notes. When you are ready with a pen or a pencil to take notes, raise your hand or give me a thumbs up.
Could you give me a second? I will
Yes, of
get
course.
my notebook.
Go. When you are ready, just do this. Yes, Rafa. Okay, Rafa is ready. What about Jesse, Jimena, and Sadly? Go for your pen. We are going to do the exercise. Ready?
Ready to go.
Yes. What about Sadly? Are you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Okay, what about Jesse?
Yes, teacher. Ready.
Very good. What about Jimena? Oh, she's
Yes,
probably.
teacher.
All right. Are you very busy, Jimmy? No? But you are
It's okay.
Wazowski. Okay, let's go to the next. Number 2, remember the strategy, eh? Listen first, then read, and then answer. Okay? Let's go.
In the north tomorrow, the weather will be much the same as today. Unsettled weather with outbreaks of rain throughout the day and temperatures around 10 degrees Celsius. In the Midlands and the East, the weather will be warmer, but there are still likely to be some scattered showers and some brisk winds, but there should be some sunny spells too. In the south of the country, it should be dry for most of the day. There'll be a lot of cloud cover, but there might be some periods of sunshine. Temperatures around 18 degrees, that's 2 degrees warmer than today.
You hear the weather forecast on the radio. What will the weather be like in the south? Listen again.
In the north tomorrow, the weather will be much the same as today. Unsettled weather with outbreaks of rain throughout the day and temperatures around 10 degrees Celsius. In the Midlands and the East, the weather will be warmer, but there are still likely to be some scattered showers and some brisk winds, but there should be some sunny spells too. In the south of the country, it should be dry for most of the day. There'll be a lot of cloud cover, but there might be some periods of sunshine. Temperatures around 18 degrees, that's 2 degrees warmer than today.
Question 3. Jesus, I cannot go to question 3. We need to answer it. Okay. So, answer. Jesse, what will the weather be like in the south and why?
No, teacher. Not difficult.
It's so difficult, really.
Yes,
Okay.
I think it's um I think it's cloudy with sunny spells.
You are correct. Yes, of course. You are correct. So you were very afraid. Why were you very afraid of this?
Oh, because the first time I didn't understand. Okay, not just understand. I didn't. Um, how do you say distinguish?
Distinguish.
Distinguish?
Mhm,
Distinguish the area
mhm,
of the talk. For example, south, north.
mhm, mhm.
But after read the question, I have more idea.
Great. Well, You are describing the same sensation I have, you know? Because I try to do these exercises the same time as you, so I can have a similar sensation. And you describe it the same way I did. I couldn't understand first where was
The
first. I
topic.
don't have context exactly.
Yes.
We don't have context. We don't have the topic. We don't know what the person is going to say. So when you read the question before the audio, sometimes it's a little bit confusing. If you read the question after the first play, you have a chance to understand, the person is speaking about the weather. The person is speaking about the probably is rainy or sunny. I understand cloudy. I don't know. No, but I understand that the person, like the first place for the topic, you know. And then with the second play, after you read the question, it becomes super easy to identify the option.
So,
So well, you had it right. You know, the previous one was a little bit more difficult. I understand that. What do you suggest? Reading the question before the first play, or reading the question after the first play?
I think it's better read the question before the
The first two.
yes, before listen.
Okay. Then you need to manage your time very, very well. Because in the audio, in the exam, the 8 conversations are one after the other in
Yes.
only one audio. So you need to know exactly where you are. In the audio, they are going to repeat the conversations twice, but they are never going to tell you, this is the moment to read, you know? Right? So if you want to read the question before, try to do it
But
before they tell you question 3.
okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's like that. In the case of the rest, what is your opinion? In the case of Rafa, for example, would you rather reading the question first before the first audio or after the first audio?
I don't know, teacher. Before I thought like Jesse, but in this first exercise, well, this second exercise,
Mm,
I I answered the question like with your tip,
mm.
and
It became easier.
yeah, it it works, you know.
Mm. That's what I have experienced my times. When I do these exams, I usually first get the topic, get the context, don't worry about the answer in the first place. And then after the first play, I said, okay, what's the question then? And then after the question, I'm like, okay, so I can isolate and locate
Yeah,
the answer.
maybe it depends of the person. I don't know, because
Probably.
uh, other point of view is like if you read the question first, you can you can detect what is the
The topic.
yeah the topic and what what you need to focus it, you know.
Mhm. Exactly, exactly. So it really depends on the person. It's a very, very personal way. That's why it's very important to get familiar with the exam first. So personally,
Yeah.
I can choose what strategy to use. You
Yeah.
know,
For
if Jesse
example,
prefers,
you can detect keywords like suit, you know,
mm,
and yeah, with the man said suit, you know
of
it's
course,
time to yeah.
of course, of course. That's exactly the point. Exactly. You say, okay, south. Okay, one moment. First he said north, then he said east, then he said west. The last one is going to be south.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Let's go with number 3. Attention. 1, 2. Question 3.
There's no simple way of knowing whether someone is lying. You can't just say, he scratched his nose, or he looked to the left when he said that, and know that they aren't telling the truth. It's more complicated than that. You first have to establish what we call a baseline. That is, how do they act in a normal, everyday situation? When we know this, it's possible to spot them lying because they use signals which are different from the norm. It might be very subtle, a very small movement in the eyes, or a change in the voice.
How is it possible to detect when people are lying? Now listen again.
There's no simple way of knowing whether someone is lying. You can't just say, he scratched his nose, or he looked to the left when he said that, and know that they aren't telling the truth. It's more complicated than that. You first have to establish what we call a baseline. That is, how do they act in a normal, everyday situation? When we know this, it's possible to spot them lying because they use signals which are different from the norm. It might be very subtle, a very small movement in the eyes, or a change in the voice.
What is the answer, Silvana?
The third one.
The third one. I agree with you. Let's go. How did you get to that answer?
Because the audio says that you have to look how they act in the normal way, and then
What
if
do you have to do again?
you have to look to watch them.
Exactly. What's the difference between look and watch?
I don't remember.
That's important. When you look, you are directing your eyes. You know, when I imagine you are in a shopping mall, you see something that you really like, and you tell Isaac, hey, look at this. So you are asking Isaac to move his head, to move his eyes towards the object. That's to look.
Okay.
So when you observe a person, you watch them, you see them, you don't
Okay.
look.
So you have to see how they act, and then in a normal way, and then when there are something not normal for them, or in this case unusual, you know that they are probably lying.
You notice. Exactly. That's the one. You see? That was explicitly on the audio. Exactly. Literally, the guy said, um, you first have to establish what we call a baseline, and that is how they act in a normal everyday situation. Mhm. Baseline will be a difficult word, but probably not. Spot is in the vocabulary as a verb, and the norm is B2 vocabulary. Yes, Isaac.
Sorry, I was calling Silvana's dog.
Oh, okay. Okay. So then let's pass to the next. Question 4. Why is the teacher talking to the student?
I've looked at your homework, and to tell the truth, there are so many problems with it I can't correct them all. You're really going to have to put some work in if you want to get into university, because this is not up to standard. If you take a look at the other students' work, you'll see just how off the mark you are. If I were you, I wouldn't pin my hopes on getting into university, and even if you do get in, it's going to be a big struggle for you.
Now listen again.
I've looked at your homework, and to tell the truth, there are so many problems with it I can't correct them all. You're really going to have to put some work in if you want to get into university, because this is not up to standard. If you take a look at the other students' work, you'll see just how off the mark you are. If I were you, I wouldn't pin my hopes on getting into university, and even if you do get in, it's going to be a big struggle for you.
Motivation. Sabdi, what is the answer?
I think it's the to give a warning.
Doing a warning. I was thinking the number 2, but you're right. Very good. How do you know it was a warning?
Because the teacher didn't say something about a suggestion, like improved or I don't know, something for the homework or like this. Just saying that he will not enter to the university, etc.
Well, yeah, that's totally right. And there are some additional information we can get there. The difference between a suggestion and a warning is how intense your words are.
Mhm.
How is your intention again? So, intention comes in this case with modal verbs. Let me show you this. If we are using in structure 7 modal verbs like you should, you ought to, we shall, you are making a suggestion, you are being very friendly, very formal. But this guy was not friendly at all. You know? He used more powerful words such as will. He used words like I don't know, I'm not sure if he said must. That's his script. There are so many problems with it, and I can't correct them all. By using can't, the auxiliary can't is like there's no way I can correct this.
It sounds really aggressive.
Exactly. That's the intention of modal verbs.
Mhm.
Changing the aggression into the message. Look at this. I am really going to have to put. That's very, very direct. Have to. You know? And will. If you take a look at the other students' work, you'll see just how off the mark you are. Here you have the adverb off that we studied 2 months ago. Having the will as a prediction makes it aggressive too. You see what I mean?
Yep.
Very good, Saudi. Very, very good. It's about conjugation, my people. Okay? Question 5. What does she dislike about her job?
I mean, the job's fine and I quite enjoy it. I mean, the boss can be a bit annoying at times, but I guess that's the same with any job. No, the biggest problem is that I'm always so busy in the summer and I never get any time off. My husband's a teacher and he gets long summer holidays, but that's when I'm at my busiest, and so we never get to spend any time together. I mean, I don't mind doing it every once in a while, but if I stay in this profession, my summers are always going to be like this and I'll never get to enjoy them.
Now listen again.
I mean, the job's fine and I quite enjoy it. I mean, the boss can be a bit annoying at times, but I guess that's the same with any job. No, the biggest problem is that I'm always so busy in the summer and I never get any time off. My husband's a teacher and he gets long summer holidays, but that's when I'm at my busiest, and so we never get to spend any time together. I mean, I don't mind doing it every once in a while, but if I stay in this profession, my summers are always going to be like this and I'll never get to enjoy them.
Tell me the answer, Rafa.
Yes, teacher. Is well, I had doubts in the end, but
Okay.
I think the correct answer is she doesn't get enough time off.
You are
Incorrect.
correct.
So it's her work is seasonal.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was something special about that. What was the information that you doubt on?
Now my first like in the middle of the audio, uh when she said about so she works in the summer,
Mhm.
uh, I thought, well, is the third option, you know.
Okay.
But at the end of the audio, she said something like this, like she works in summers, you know,
Okay.
and
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
it was like, oh, maybe it's this one, but yes,
And the reason she doesn't spend time with her husband is not that she has a lot enough free time. Is that he has vacation when she's working.
yeah,
So that's the reason. It was tricky. The third option was very tricky. That was the intention of the question, to make you confused. So
yes,
finally you fell in the trap. The rest agree? Disagree?
Yes.
Awesome. Question 6. What is being exhibited?
This is a very interesting exhibition for anyone who's interested in the social history of this town. We're displaying the work of Thomas Rowlandson, a cartoonist from the late 17th and early 18th century. As well as being a cartoonist, he was also a painter of landscapes and marine paintings. But this exhibition will feature his caricatures, for which he is best known. His work satires the life and society during this period, so as well as being amusing, the cartoons also act as a fascinating historic insight into the life of the period.
Now listen again.
This is a very interesting exhibition for anyone who's interested in the social history of this town. We're displaying the work of Thomas Rowlandson, a cartoonist from the late 17th and early 18th century. As well as being a cartoonist, he was also a painter of landscapes and marine paintings. But this exhibition will feature his caricatures, for which he is best known. His work satires the life and society during this period, so as well as being amusing, the cartoons also act as a fascinating historic insight into the life of the period.
Go, Isaac.
No, teacher, please.
No?
I think it's the first one. Cartoons about people's lifestyles.
And how do you know that?
Because it is mentioned at the beginning of the audio, and the rest is for the other, how to say, like the other categories that this painter works or worked. I don't know if he's still alive, but it's like an additional information that we really don't need to get the answer.
Okay, the second part makes you confused because there was something else You are correct. Okay, you are correct.
But well, maybe I think that the rest was like explaining the how to say, like the root of these cartoons, or or maybe the things that the artists want to express.
Now you are inventing. Yes.
Well, I understand part of that.
Exactly. We need to check. We need to check the script again, because the reason he talks about marine and landscape paintings is because he says that usually the person or the exhibitions are about that. It says here, he was also a painter of landscapes and marines paintings, but but is the one to was regular. But this exhibition will feature his caricatures.
You know what? I think that I found is found? Yes, I found the answer at the beginning, so I didn't pay attention to the rest of the audio.
That's also possible.
Yeah,
That's also a way to manage this type of exercise. That can be a little bit tricky, but
because yes, you can get more information in the rest.
either the rest can confirm the first section, but it
Mhm.
can also deny it.
Yeah,
In a way, the person is going to say, even though I think this, or but, and when the person
yes,
contrasts it, then the idea is going to be very different. So,
yes. But I felt that it was something really, really clear. So I think that it happened to me.
right. Mhm. Totally.
Mhm.
Yeah, the word cartoonist was very easy to understand, so that was
Yeah.
helpful. So your lesson in this case is don't stop listening, especially with the
Yes.
second play. In Silvana, don't stop singing. You sing amazingly. Yes.
I thought he turned off the microphone.
No, keep it on, Isaac. Don't turn it off. We want to we want to hear everything. Okay, very good. So that's the one. Jimena, you raised your hand. I think it was to give the answer, right?
I got the same answer.
Yes, you wanted to say the answer, right?
Uh-huh.
Don't worry, because you are next. No pressure. Okay, no pressure, Wasowski. You got it. So let's try with number 7. 1, 2, 3. What are the advantages of blogs?
I think the reason why people are so interested in reading blogs these days is that they offer something different from the more formal types of journalism. Where newspapers and television stations have standards with regards to the balance of opinions, blogs are much more personal. People are putting forward their own stories and they're also divulging their sources. So in many ways the information is more honest. And where traditional media is detached, blogs are emotional, and that makes them more exciting.
Now listen again.
I think the reason why people are so interested in reading blogs these days is that they offer something different from the more formal types of journalism. Where newspapers and television stations have standards with regards to the balance of opinions, blogs are much more personal. People are putting forward their own stories and they're also divulging their sources. So in many ways the information is more honest. And where traditional media is detached, blogs are emotional, and that makes them more exciting.
What's the answer? Here.
They give a more honest account of stories.
You are totally correct. Totally. How did you get this answer?
Listening.
Exactly. That's the way, guys. You know, that's the secret. Just use your ears. You know.
I imagine Jimena putting on a pair of black glasses.
Exactly. No visual. Just listen. You don't
I'm
need to
was
No,
asking.
like the meme, the cat with black glasses.
with black glasses.
Glasses.
Yeah, like the cat that cannot see, right?
No, the
What?
one that,
Like the song, no?
Like,
yeah, yes,
Sunglasses.
black.
Teacher, the,
what are you
the,
talking
the
about?
cat or dog with black glasses in the meme.
In the meme.
Isn't Meme.
In the meme. The lazy meme.
Ah, no.
So the black glasses like
Okay.
going down, like deal with it.
Silvana is looking for the meme and she will send it.
I think you're talking about this one. What?
With I don't know how to say that, hip hop song. Isn't
The hip hop song? I don't know. No, I don't really know
Yeah.
what you're talking about.
It's not
Yeah,
just a meme,
I'm
it's
sure
a
you
video.
know it.
It's a
Of
video.
life?
Really? Is it a video?
Yeah,
I
you are talking about a very
imagine.
old meme, right?
Nah, come on.
Yeah. Okay. Tough life. You are talking about tough life. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
Oh my god, my keyboard is misbehaving. I cannot write anything. Well, I think you get it. Anyway, search for it and pass it to me. Probably we are talking about
Silvana
this.
already sent it.
Yes?
Okay,
No,
okay.
she's trying to send it, but she has some issues with the technology.
Yeah, well, we all have. Oh, okay. Okay, I get it. Yeah, that's the one. So
That justified Jimena's answers.
exactly.
Yeah.
Why?
That's logic.
Exactly.
It's logic, profe.
Exactly. It's like that. Just like, man, it's a listening, bro. So you have to listen. That's it. Exactly. Thank you.
I got the answer listening by listening.
By listening.
No.
It was easy
I-
as that, you know? Mhm.
Yes,
I-
it in the audio it's explained that the point of view in a blog is different than in other media what is the name?
Media. You can only say media.
Yeah. Okay. Because this is more honest, is more personal, and I think
He never used the word honest, but yes, he used the word personal. So that part is important.
I
Definitely.
I got the answer by these keywords.
Very good. Very
Listening.
good. I'm going to give you another part that also gave you the answer. It says here that newspapers and television stations have standards in regards to the balance of opinions. This is a little bit more difficult to understand than the rest, but this is another confirmation of Jimena's answer. When television stations have standards with regards to the balance of opinions. The word regards is like saying about. So with regards to is a chunk, a group of words that usually go together. Okay? And to
What
have a
is
stance,
regards?
similar to say, well, it's together, it's with regards to. And together it means about.
In regards to? With regards or in regards?
With, never win.
With is with regards.
With regards
Okay.
to. Like a chunk, a group of words.
Okay.
Idiomatic
Yes,
expressions.
because in regards, you can use it at the end of an email, no? Like a way to say goodbye.
But only regards.
Yes, it's only regards. With
Exactly.
regards.
That's a very different expression.
Yeah. Okay.
When you say bye-bye in an email, you use only regards, no connectors. But If you want to make a formal about, we use with regards to. Got it? New stuff. And this is formal and informal speech. Take it as a consideration. Formal versus informal speech. Number 8. How does she feel about the contest?
So, do you get nervous when you're up there?
I used to. I'd get really wound up thinking about what'll happen if I go out of tune or forget the words. But then someone said to me, well, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. And I realised that this is really what I want to do. There's no point in getting all worked up about it every time. These days, I just go out there and enjoy myself.
You must be really pleased with yourself for getting so far in the contest.
Yeah, I am, but I realise that some really talented people have been knocked out of the competition. I know I'm really lucky that people out there are supporting me. Without them, I wouldn't have got this far.
Now listen again.
So, do you get nervous when you're up there?
I used to. I'd get really wound up thinking about what'll happen if I go out of tune or forget the words. But then someone said to me, well, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. And I realised that this is really what I want to do. There's no point in getting all worked up about it every time. These days, I just go out there and enjoy myself.
You must be really pleased with yourself for getting so far in the contest.
Yeah, I am, but I realise that some really talented people have been knocked out of the competition. I know I'm really lucky that people out there are supporting me. Without them, I wouldn't have got this far.
Tell me, Jessie, what's the answer?
I think it's grateful.
Okay. How do you know that?
I didn't understand a lot of the beginning, but the last she said she's I have what she say something she I don't know mm, how do you say agradecer. Great. No,
To think. Think is a verb.
to take to what teachers?
Think. Like when you say thank you.
Okay, to
You
thank.
know?
Yes,
Think.
to thank because I don't know, maybe her teacher support him.
Exactly. Good. Yes. You're totally right. And this is very interesting because that's exactly what we were saying before. If you pay attention to the first section, you will think that it's nervous.
Yes, but she say I used to.
Very good. Excellent, girl. So then you can notice that it was not only, oh, that was in the past. No,
Yes.
not anymore. Good job, my people. There it is. This is your score for the day, and this is the first part of the listening section. As you can see, you need to pay attention through all the audio. It's not enough to hear only just one part, especially for the next part. When we're talking about part 2, this is very, very complex. A lot of people have some issues with this exercise. The audio gives you, let's say, 20 seconds to read all these different sections. And then it's going to be only one audio for all the different questions. The person is speaking for 3 minutes. Look at this. 3 constant minutes. So you need to listen and listen and listen and listen and listen and receive all the information that you can. And when you finish this, you can start checking. Okay, I understand number 1. Probably number 2 is extra. I understand number 5. I understand number 7. The second play helps you complete your previous answers. You see? So it's so important to take your full listening power here. You know? That's going to be tomorrow's practice. Do you have any question right now?
Yes, I just have one question. When is the exam? It's on Monday, right?
Monday, yes. Monday
But
is
Monday
in
is
2 days.
but Monday is May 1st.
Man, really? There's no
His face.
tomorrow. Then we need to do our practice. Okay, I was supposed, no, yes. We were supposed to begin the exam on Thursday and do part 2 on Friday. So what we're going to do is that we are going to do part 1 on Friday and part 2 on Tuesday.
Okay, yes.
Got it?
Okay.
That's gonna be
Silvana is looking forward for the exam.
Why do you say that? Yes, but he knows you perfectly.
So yes, we are ready.
Do you remember when I was studying for the TOEFL one?
Yes. A long time ago,
I
right?
got what?
A long time ago, right?
Like
Yeah, like
4 years.
like 4 years almost.
Okay.
And I was pretty nervous. And
Today?
then you say there's not an score or something like that. There's not good or bad. You just have an score and then you can study the other things that you need to practice.
Exactly. Yes.
So I just keep that in mind.
What was your score when you presented TOEFL the first time?
540.
No, 523 or something
20,
like that.
yeah, 20, no, 27.
Oh, okay.
So
Well,
it's
yeah.
very probable that after the whole information you have received after these classes and all the time that has passed, it's very probable that the score can be higher today. That's why I was telling you that, you know?
That's the goal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Even more because I at that moment I haven't practiced like in 5 years, and now I haven't practiced in the same years.
Okay, so let's see how it works. Well, you have practiced this month, so we can do
Yeah.
something. Very good, excellent, guys. Well, it was a very good class. I'll see you tomorrow. Come, okay? Don't leave me alone. I'll see you in the next one. Okay.
See you, teacher.
See
You
you.
guys
See you,
have a
teacher.
nice
Bye.
day.
You too.
Hello.
Give me a second, Sabdi, so I can say goodbye to you and